today we are at SEMICON India 2025 Day 2, and with us today is Mr. Joe Laia, and he's the board member of Orbit and Skyline. Hi Joe, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so I would like you to introduce yourself and a little bit more about the Orbit and Skyline.
So Orbit Skyline has been in business maybe 15 years. It started providing fab services with Tower. So Tower Semiconductor, an Israeli company, got contracted with SCL, the only semiconductor fab in India, to bring their technology to SCL. And then Orbit Skyline was brought in to bring the understanding of how to implement the technology on the machines in India.
Okay.
So they provide people there's two parts to making a chip. There's people who fix all the machines, and then there's people who make the machines run.
Okay.
So they provide both engineering hardware, the guys to fix them, and process hardware, the people to make them run. And they've been doing that continuously with Tower, for over a decade, I believe.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, they have evolved to provide engineering services. So if you are an OEM, like Lam is the big customer, and you would like perhaps obsolescence engineering, perhaps you have a part that you can no longer buy, and you need somebody to engineer a new one or to develop a replacement, say a board or an RF supply or something like that, they can design the hardware, test it, qualify it, and then get that inserted into the manufacture, into the repairs loop for the tools, and also do new design of new things you need for your equipment. That'd be a second thing. And then the third piece, in addition, they provide engineers to do the process and hardware to fabs around the world. There aren't enough people with skills to do semiconductor manufacturing today. It takes a unique set of skills. You don't really learn them in a university.
Exactly.
You learn them, you understand the chemistry of the physics, but you don't understand the manufacturing. So they train, find people, train them, send them around the world, like 150 engineers now are somewhere in the world working in a fab as a kind of a contract person.
Okay.
And then the last piece is when Lam or other companies get to the point where they don't really want to deal with older machines that still work and still run and the customer still wants to use, but Lam wants to focus on the latest and greatest and how to push the technology forward.
Okay.
They send those machines that they consider at the end of their life cycle to Orbit Skyline, who manages the repair, the maintenance, any upgrades, anything that goes with that. Orbit Skyline takes over that responsibility. A lot of things. There's like more than one thing that the company does.
Exactly.
All centered on semiconductor and all done in India. Everything's centered in India.
Okay.
So it's an American-based company, but Ravi, Indian, his dad was a diplomat. Rakesh, his brother, Indian, dad, diplomat. They're really focused on trying to help India. That was one of his goals when he started his company. So everything is based in Mohali.
Thank you so much for this introduction. I mean, I think that there's a lot more than that you have introduced to us. So moving ahead to the Q&A session, and my first question for you is that Orbit Skyline has established itself as a global partner in semiconductor services, managing over 3,000 tools and supporting both CMOs and compound fabs. How do you see India's growing semiconductor ecosystem benefiting from such specialized expertise, especially as the country pushes to become a full stack semiconductor hub? Country as in, I mean India.
So there's many ways to answer this question.
Exactly.
But to start with, as India, let me back up.
Okay.
Semiconductors make the world run. There's no technology today that you are interested in having in your house, apart from maybe an electric hairdryer, that doesn't have a semiconductor somewhere in it. I think it was only logical that India starts to make its own fab. India is an untapped resource for the world, and it was only logical that they get involved. It takes some time to get there, but you need to start. I think there's a shortage of labor who know how to operate in a fab. There are just only so many fabs and only so many people work there, and there's not a reservoir of people who know what to do, and they're not really trained coming out of school. School teaches us how to think about science and technology. It doesn't necessarily teach us how to manufacture or work in a manufacturing environment. So the first thing I would say is the training facilities and the experience in training engineers to go work in fabs exists. The second piece is fabs run with like a continuous flow of materials, all different parts and raw materials and parts and replacement parts and things that might fail. And there's an understanding of how to manage the supply chain, how to manage the inventories, how to manage so that it can keep a fab running. Would be the first two things that I would say. The third thing, and really, so as the Tata fab comes up, it'll need, let me just rephrase it, it'll need people.
Yes.
So this is a place that can provide the people. It'll need maintenance on the tools. This is a place that can provide engineers and knowledge, since they provide that at SCL. There's already a working understanding of people having the knowledge it takes to perform, and they can provide process people. Those would be the immediate benefits. The other piece is there's a really strong relationship with OEMs. Ravi came from Novellus, Rakesh came from Applied Materials, right? So we have people who've worked in, the top level is the manufacturer, the next level is the capital equipment people, the people that make the machines that make the fab work. So you have a knowledge of the manufacturing, you have a knowledge of the supply, the tools that go in. And so as it starts, vendors or tool suppliers may not see a big enough market to put an office here, but they can work through Orbit Skyline to install tools, to represent the maintenance, to help them be successful in India. Really, the objective, if you think about it, you know where you want to go.
Yes.
You know all the steps that are involved in between. You know which steps are really going to slow you down. The objective is find ways to reduce the time in those steps. Training skilled people to get in the fab and to bring it up and to make it work is one of the bottlenecks. Orbit Skyline can remove that bottleneck.
That's really great to know. So my next question is, you have successfully led fab equipment engineering operations and legacy product support at Orbit Skyline. So with that legacy, tool management being a critical challenge for fabs worldwide, how is your company helping OEMs and fab extend tool life while still staying competitive with next-gen technologies?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I think can I say it's not quite the right question?
Yes.
Without offending you?
Sure.
It's so that there's really two buckets when you think about semiconductors manufacturing. There's legacy products. There's tools that make. Let me start in a different place. So when you think about semiconductors, there's a whole series of technologies that start with like quarter micron, very wide lines that interconnect transistors that go all the way to 2 nanometers, 20 angstroms at the leading edge, right? So I go from very wide lines to lines that are incredibly small. As you go towards the smaller line, you get more and more ability on a chip on a smaller and smaller size.
Okay.
The legacy machines, the old generation, as you say, they make the majority of the chips we use in the world. They're in your car, they're in your TV, they're in all the things that you need to work with a semiconductor, but you don't want to pay $1,000 for a phone.
Exactly.
You want to pay a couple of $100 for a TV.
Yes.
Or you don't even want to know the cost of a part in your car, like the system that integrates different parts.
Yes.
So they go from mundane to incredibly advanced. AI chips to chips for your TV. The legacy machines don't really compete with the most advanced machines.
Okay.
The most advanced machines do things that the legacy machines can never do.
Okay.
And the most advanced machines cost way too much money to be trying to build legacy products. So the objective on legacy tools is to make sure they run 24/7, all the time, and they always make a good product. They never make the objective is to have like no scrap. That's about managing spares, managing PMs, having people that know how to do it. That's about managing and knowing how to keep them moving. There may be upgrades, but those are specific to those tools.
Okay.
Right? They don't cross into the most advanced. Most advanced technology, AI chips, right? Things that do functions we only dreamed of a short time ago.
Okay.
Different cost structure, different of the product, different cost structure of the factory, different cost structure of the tools. Everything is different. That's an aspirational goal. For India, that's an aspirational goal.
Okay.
I mean, there's only a few companies in the world that can do that today.
Okay.
There's really one that does it best, and then a couple more that get close. That's not where India will start. That's where India will aspire to go, as do many other countries. So, but most of the money and the development and the building skills is in the legacy tools. So India will start there, and then aspire to get here and work very diligently, and I'm sure we'll get there quicker than most.
Yes, exactly. They are working for it, for the same, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they'll get there, and they'll get there quicker than most people because, to be honest, so I work with people around the world, manage people from all over the world. India makes great engineers. That's a fact.
Yes.
So they'll get there. But it's not a competition between the two.
Yes, exactly.
Both will happen and both will occur in parallel. That makes sense?
Yes, absolutely, it makes sense. So Orbit Skyline works with global giants like TSMC, Intel, Micron, as you said, and global foundries. In what ways are these global partnerships shaping your approach in India, and how do you plan to leverage them for building local talent and technology capabilities?
So Orbit Skyline has either legacy tools from Lam or engineers in just about every fab, every company in the world.
Okay.
TSMC, Global Foundries, all of those people. There's, as I mentioned earlier, there's really two ways to think about it. One is training, is being able to bring engineers. And one of the things that India needs to really consider is how to match the rate of development of fabs or the rate of fabs coming online with the arrival of labor, of skilled people to go into the fabs. To build a fab, a big fab, and have all this money invested and not have people that can go work is not an optimized solution. So you need to kind of figure what can you get from other places, which is tight because there are only so many places you can recruit from, or how to develop. And so there is a program at Orbit Skyline to train engineers with a clean room and all the facilities, but to train enough engineers for the future, someone in the government, I suppose, needs to make sure that there's an effort aligned with training with the factories. And I think that's one of the big benefits that can happen. And then in partnership, because they can do installs, they know how to install all the tools. And as I said earlier, if like a company doesn't really want to invest in having a field office in India for one factory, say when you start, they can provide many of those services for that company.
Definitely.
Makes sense?
Yes,
Again? Okay.
Absolutely it makes sense. So talent development seems central to Orbit Skyline, with a strong focus on training engineers in real fab environments, and at a time when India is training tens of thousands of students in semiconductor. How is your company contributing to making this workforce truly industry ready?
Um, so it did put in a training center, which has a clean room and has a machine from Lam and has the all the computer screens you would see to run two tools in a factory, an etcher and a deposition tool in Mohali. And there's also basic, how does the machine work, valves, mass flow controllers, all the things you find in a machine. There are examples and ways to learn and to understand how that works, but already in place. So there's an effort to start to make engineers today to work around the world, that get deployed around the world. It's not at a scale that's going to be required at this point. It'll take some investment to get it to scale where you'll fill enough engineers for the Tata fab. And then Orbit Skyline, Tata can go try to raid different fabs around the world to get people that already work there. But there's only so many fabs and so many people, so raiding people has its limits. You won't be able to do what India wants without. So you'll need development of training, some training centers. There's one now where it could start, and then a plan, as I said, to kind of remove the bottleneck. And one of the bottlenecks, I mean, there's really 2 or 3 bottlenecks to get the whole ecosystem to work. One is to get people in who provide the foundation, industrial gases, right? Things that you'll need at the factory to make it work. And how do we put those in place? And the second one is labor, to have a plan to get that in. And then the third one, which is actually fairly simple, is for Tata to go buy and decide what tools they want to put in, and then how they'll get the hardware in, and then get the gases so that the tools will run, and then get the people so that they can make the gases and the tools run. And so the real bottleneck right now will be people, because the other pieces you can buy. There's suppliers for that.
Okay, so your vision is to position Orbit and Skyline as a global benchmark in semiconductor services. Looking ahead, what new opportunities do you see in area like compound semiconductors, sustainability in fabs, or collaboration with the Indian government to strengthen the country's semiconductor journey? Do you want to answer it?
Yeah, but so the answer is that one is it's a great question, but it's, in a way, it's not something that's easy for me to answer.
Okay.
So new technology is developed by the company that wants it. They say, I want to do this and this and this. And then a capital equipment company, usually one that they already have machines from, they call them tools, they have tools from, that already has tools in their factory. So you have tools there, they come to you, they say, I want to go to silicon carbide. You would have a process to put on that tool to make silicon carbide work, maybe. Or you'd have to develop a process to put on that tool to make silicon carbide work. But you would develop it as the guy, the man or woman that owns the tool, right? Okay. Then that would be contracted to the fab.
Okay.
Orbit Skyline comes in and helps you implement the process on the hardware that comes from the manufacturer on those tools. Orbit Skyline doesn't really build a tool. That's not their business.
Developers to do so.
They help implement the tool and the technology in the fab, and then what they really do is make sure that once it's implemented, it runs. So it's different. It's a different part of the continuum. The tool people are very specific. They make the machines, they make the hardware. There's all kinds of guarantees that come around, how many wafers between when it breaks, and how many particles of what size, and how uniform. It's really explicit technical specifications for the tool and the process, silicon carbide, etc. And then the implementation comes more in the form of what we can do. But it's the whole manufacture of semiconductors is like a continuous flow. It starts with the design of a chip, different skill set for a chip designer. Then it goes to the people who develop the processes, and who develop the machines. Then it goes to the factory who implements these in like a dance across hundreds of tools that go around and around
Yes.
many, many times.
Yes, yes.
And then underneath all of that, there's the engineering staff that makes it work, that makes it run, and that repairs and does maintenance. And then underneath that is the supply chain that keeps everything coming to the maintenance guys, that feeds the tools, that makes the chips that the designers design.
The long process.
We fit in a specific place.
Okay. So this was my last question, by the way. Thank you so much for your time, insights, and it was lovely talking to you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for watching us.